Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Draft Day Sports College Basketball. This is episode 42. After starting the season a little bit slow, of course, the end of the last episode, we lost the opener to Georgetown at the preseason NIT tournament. They were ranked in the top 25, and they blew us out pretty bad. But the main thing came down to couldn't keep the fouls under control, and they were at the free throw line all game long. That was the key difference besides our lack of shooting. Our second game of the year, though, was another loss, but it was against Ohio State, who is now ranked third in the nation, and we only lost by 5 on the road at Ohio State. Much better performance, much better, but still ultimately a loss. But it also shows just how close we are to the top teams. I mean, Georgetown's recent NCAA tournament winner and Ohio State in the top 5. We've won every game since. Have not been a bunch of blowouts though, so it has been somewhat competitive. But there's a few trends that are standing out. Houston, leading scorer in all but one game. He's getting 15 to 21 a night ever since those first couple of games. Ed Reed getting nearly 6 assists a night as the point guard. That's good. He's running the offense well. He's consistent. And the rebounders, different guy every night. Ed Holt had 12 a couple games back, so that was huge. But we have a lot of guys we can rely on to grab some rebounds, and that's good. But nobody is consistently dominating and grabbing double digits. That part sucks, but we've got a lot of guys that are at least good enough to get rebounds fairly consistently. Also, other noteworthy things, we've only had two home games out of the 7 that we've played. So we've managed to go 5-2 with just 2 home games and to win 5 straight. So we're starting to emerge as a pretty competitive program. Also noteworthy is 4 out of the next 5 games are going to be at home. And despite what we've faced challenge-wise in those 2 losses early in the season, our net rank right now, 42nd. Not bad. So we're still looking at being a contender this season, but we'll see how the net ranking shapes up as we go on. I would think we could be cruising through. Philadelphia Jesuit 5-1, 4-0 at home. That's the one road game we have out of these 5. That's going to be a difficult one, but let's go ahead and push forward into the conference portion of our season. Things are not perfect in our camp, but they're definitely good. We did take another loss. Philadelphia Jesuit, they're Conference F, so 5th conference up. They're pretty high up there, and they've been almost perfect at home, and they were at home for the game. So we do come away with our 3rd loss, but we do wrap up the non-conference schedule at 8-3, despite 3 really tough road games that we took losses on. We were 8-0 otherwise, and that was still with more road games than home games. Even that stretch was only 4 home games. It's been good. Net ranking is in the top 40. I think that's good enough to be, competitive to get probably out of the first round of the NCAA tournament, but not really further than that, unless you get lucky on draw who you go up against in that second round. But we're ready to start our conference schedule, and even though there are some teams in the conference that have done okay, we're looking at 4 teams at 8-3, but you're looking at Bellarmine 6-2 at home, just 2-1 on the road. Net's only 290. So no, I'm not threatened by them. James Madison, 5 home games. But they do get their net just inside the top 100. South Carolina Upstate, who's been right with us for the last couple of years, climbing that ladder, are 76th in the net. They still look to be fairly good. 3-4 on the road, but 4-0 at home. Citadel, 130th. I have gone through and retooled all of the teams within the conference to proper names. So Holy Cross, American University, Bellarmine, some total no names. Purdue, Fort Wayne, right? It's Purdue, but it's their Fort Wayne campus. 1-10 overall. They are going to struggle. I did look at some of the teams, just glanced at their rosters as I was going through to do the renaming, and there is a lot of half-star, one-star kind of guys in our conference. I think we are looking like we're going to be fairly comfortable in the top 4. Are we good enough to win the conference? Looks like South Carolina Upstate's again going to be one of the top contenders. James Madison looks to be a top contender, and maybe Citadel. North Carolina Central, quite possibly, though they struggled on the road. So if they're struggling on the road, it depends a lot on who they play. But our 3-3 road record was against 2 absurdly good teams, top 15 teams, and 1 very good team not far outside of the top 25. So I still think we're in pretty dang good shape entering the conference play. This may be one of the fellow 8-3 teams entering conference play, but we are pretty heavy favorites for this one. We take the early lead, 5-0 already, and I do think we're going to be comfortable here. Now, I think one of the questions that actually needs asking here is not, will we be in the top 4? I think a better question is, are we winning the conference championship this year? And I still think there's a very good chance of that. I think one of the better questions to ask is, can we have a perfect conference record? Can we go 16-0? I think the answer to that is no. But I think I will be upset if we do anything worse than 14-2. You've got to go on the road. There are some decent teams in the conference. Now, I haven't looked closely enough at the conference schedule to see if those couple better teams, whether we have road games against them. If we do have road games against them, I think that's where you're going to pick up those losses. You can see we're ahead early and pulling away already. It's 23, well, it was 23-6 a moment ago. So I think 14-2 is the minimum that we should do. I think there's a fairly decent chance that we could have a 15-1 record in the conference this season. We are really good, and looking around the conference, a lot of the teams are really bad. I think there's a lot of teams there that had a little bit of reputation because in real life they played in tiny conferences and they were the little fish in the tiny pond, as in they weren't big fish, but there was nothing but minnows around them. They were catfish in small ponds. They were a lot bigger than those around them, and not to where they were winning conference titles, but they were finishing, second or third consistently. And those teams had just a little bit of reputation, just a little bit. And that little bit of reputation bumped them up a handful of conferences at the start of this thing because they weren't the worst of the worst. They were just okay. They were tolerable. Approaching halftime, they were under 20 a moment ago. 2 quick scores here before half, though. It's 49-23, now 49-25. We've nearly doubled their score here at the end of the first half. It was doubled a moment ago. So those teams, right? And actually, well, let's recalibrate for a second. Maybe they're just middle average in the smallest conferences. They get some wins here and there, but they're just small schools, small population with decent basketball programs that somehow play in Division I, which I don't understand how Division I has grown so much in the last 15, 20 years. But here it is, whatever. They're here. I think the most reputable program for me, Lehigh. And that's all because of CJ. CJ McCollum went to Lehigh. And I never would have heard of it if not for CJ McCollum being from there and, of course, being a longtime Blazer. And, I like how the roster is finally shaping up this year. Believe me, I was worried. But I think the deal that gave CJ McCollum away for virtually nothing just to free up cap space, when cap space never became a thing for this season. It never was a thing. We never had freedom of cap space. What we got in return for one of the most loyal, one of the nicest guys, and really good basketball player in CJ McCollum is just criminal. Absolutely criminal. He instantly made New Orleans significantly better, and Portland got nothing of value in return in that deal. Nothing. Just, I was absolutely appalled by that deal. At the back of my mind and in conversations that I had with fellow coaching staff, because I coach basketball, fellow coaching staff, friends, a lot of us were reluctant, but also convinced that, a backcourt of Lillard and McCollum, while very capable of scoring, really struggled defensively, especially the wingspan of the two. And as much as we all love CJ McCollum, Lillard is one of the best. Current, one of the best all time, is the best Blazer all time. What can you do? Lillard's one of the best. McCollum sometimes carried the team, but definitely was not the best. We're on the verge of 100, by the way. Can we do it? 40 seconds left in the game. Another possession, another chance. Free throw, still can't convert. 13 seconds. No, the answer is no. We stay right at virtually doubling their score. Final 99-50, but the garbage time, the guys getting the minutes at the end, they had more than a minute, I think, from the time where we reached 99. They had multiple possessions. They had a trip to the free throw line. And they didn't just hang on to the ball. In fact, the final possession was Bellarmine. The garbage time guys could not convert. Rebounding plus 11, turnovers plus 13, 62% from the field to 32% from the field, 16 more attempts than they had in the game, only 12 free throws, only 6 of 12, 11 of 19 from 3, 11 of 19 from 3. Let me say that again, 11 of 19 from 3. Wow. Penders had 12 points. Rice had 12 points. They were in that game for a while, I think. Yeah, look at that. Our bench, McMillan, Smith, 7-8 minutes. Rice had 11 minutes. Penders had 11 minutes. McPherson had 12 minutes. We went deep into that bench early. Starters, 16 to 20 minutes is all they managed in this one. Dang, even our bench continued to outscore. Anyway, Lehigh, who's just 5-8 on the season so far, like I was saying, as good as McCollum is, Lillard's better. And the combination of those two small guards always struggled to defend against other teams. And the Blazers have had the worst defense in the NBA over the last, I think, 5-year period. Dead last in the NBA in defense. And so much of it started with that guard combo. Just wasn't quite good enough defensively. And then, for a while there, we had just about the right combo of strong defense, but then not able to contribute the three ball. And as the game shifted more and more to the three ball, we tried to replace those guys and then got defenders who weren't as good. And that's where we fell into that trap of the whole team just could not defend for the life of them. So then it became about outscoring opponents. And most nights you could do that. But against certain teams out there, you just could not do that consistently. So I understand why the roster needed to blow up. I understand why McCollum needed to be moved on. But we could have gotten so much more in return for CJ McCollum than we did. Yes, the roster might be shaping up nicely right now, today in July of 2022, and we got an absolute steal in Jabari Walker at the 59th pick. Honestly, seeing his tryout in Portland pre-draft, I was more interested in them drafting him at the 7th pick than I was in them taking any of the other options that were there. And ultimately, Shaedon Sharpe, who in 5 minutes of Summer League did not look like he was going to be NBA ready for years to come. He might be ultra athletic, talented, great prospect, but oh my goodness, he is a prospect that looks to be years away. It would have been nice to see more than 5 minutes of him, because maybe there was nerves, right? But on that Summer League roster, there's only one player that I've seen, and I won't name him, but there was only one player that looked further away than Sharpe. Walker, though, I'm excited to see him contribute. Now, of course, he's young, he's raw, and maybe he doesn't have the top side of some of the other guys, but honestly, I think he is ready to play minutes at the NBA level, ready to get 10, 12, 14 minutes a night and contribute solidly. I think he is the steal of the draft, hands down. Doesn't mean he's going to be the best player, but when he comes in as the penultimate pick in the draft, could give you solid NBA minutes immediately. Dang. Can't believe everybody else slept on him. 2-0 in conference, a 12-point road victory at Norfolk State. For me, I think we have a great opportunity to go 8-0 in conference at home. Let's see if that's the case. Looking at the home matches, American, Navy, South Dakota, South Carolina Upstate at home. They're already just 1-1 in conference. Holy Cross, Norfolk State again, and North Carolina Central. I think we have a great shot. I think South Carolina Upstate is the one who's going to provide the biggest challenge. Otherwise, we're looking at 7-1, but I do think we could still hands down beat them. I just think they're the only one who's going to honestly give us a hard time at home. Okay, there's 8 wins. What about on the road? North Carolina Central. They are 6-1 at home so far this year, but just 7-6 overall, meaning they're pretty beatable, but we'll have to keep fingers crossed during that one, as it's far from a guarantee. Loyola, Maryland. 2-0 in conference so far. Just 3-2 at home, meaning they had a lot of road games. They are 1-8 on the road, but better at home. Not going to be the easiest game either. And this is why I think we're not likely to go 8-0 on the road in conference. 1-0 so far, but I do think we're going to pick up a couple losses along the way. That's my guess. But our chances, Lehigh have not been good at home. Gardner-Webb, not good at home, just 2-11 overall. Citadel, very good at home. There is your first and most likely loss. By the way, you can lose immediately after to a James Madison, who is also perfect at home so far this season. And Bellarmine, even though we just blew them out by almost 50 points, we're 7-2 at home. But I do think Bellarmine looked to be totally out of their element against us, and that one's probably a loss. But there's 3 games right there, which you figure we're going to lose at least one of those. Probably 2. Or maybe we have the rare upset against somebody else. All it takes is one bad night on the road, and it's a loss. Apparently, I cursed myself talking about Lehigh, as McCollum's alma mater have beaten us. We were on the road. They're not a great team, but they pulled off the 1-point upset. Hold had a good day, but that seemed to be kind of the end of it. Ed Reed, for the first or just second time this season, does not make the assist chart. So it looks like he might have been the key one held, as Ed Hold had a nice double-double. But other than that, we just could not put it together. Our offense was a bit stagnant on the day, and our defense certainly did not perform at the level it has lately. I mean, the last time we gave up more than 73 points was way back against North Dakota, and that was a closer game for sure. Jesse Howell has made his decision as well, and He's picked our school. Okay. From fourth on the list, we did pick up Jesse Howell, staying after him. So we do get our one man. We were right down to it in terms of the budget. I mean, we're down under 600 left. But Jesse Howell, I didn't even think. Last I looked, we were still fourth on the list, but we were the ones who kept recruiting him heavily. I would not be surprised, actually, if those top three had not offered a scholarship. And that's what slowly pushed us up, is we had the scholarship offer out, and the others might have been much bigger programs that just chatted with him, and he was just like, ha, yeah, love ya. And they didn't love him so much back. They liked him enough to chat with him, but not enough to give an offer. But we've got the verbal. We got our man, Jesse Howell. And, that one good thing is Ed Hold. I was mentioning this one earlier. Ed Hold, the only senior in the starting five. So you lose Ed Hold, but we have two post players playing the 3-4. So you then turn that into two post players playing the 4-5. And Jesse Howell coming in as a 4-star guy, if he is coming in as a 4-star junior college transfer, if we are accurate on our assessment of him. And then you're still looking at a very solid first five. Does mean you're going a little bit smaller in terms of playing small ball, so you're not going to get quite as many rebounds, but he's another good defender coming in, so no loss. 5 more scholarships to go out and find that center and get even stronger come next season. We're going to have quite a few scholarships, and most of those empty spots are backups. So I'm really liking how this squad is shaping up to not only, get another ladder, another rung up that ladder and climb and get another conference championship, as we seem to be doing right now, but to become a team that belongs in the later rounds of the NCAA Championship and not just the surprise team like we were a year ago, but to be there on merit, having depth. It's huge when you have that depth, when you go to that bench and you don't have a huge drop off, because against those bigger teams, those Conference BC kind of teams, they have that. Their guys on the bench are as good as your starting five generally. And I've been piecing together teams that are quite capable of getting some wins, but depth is still an area where we tend to struggle. Those guys haven't been as good. I think this coming year could be the year, though, where we hit truly elite status. So far, it's Hold at 15 a game, Houston at 13.5, Eric Reed 11, Lindquist 8.6. Not shooting the ball well, 38%. So the sophomore Lindquist, unless he really improves his shot, Lindquist actually, which he is playing out of position this year, Lindquist could actually find himself relegated to being sixth man come next season, because that ratio of misses not doing him any favors. Ryan Fall has the same problem, which is why Ryan Fall was somebody I didn't want to overly rely on this season. So both of these guys in jeopardy for next year. Myron Hammond doing well, but he is one of those seniors. Ed Hold obviously is one of those seniors. Cooper, not scoring a lot, but he's not taking a high volume of shots. He's just not looking to take the shot, and he's doing okay otherwise. Total rebounds just 4.6. So it looks like it might not be as good with those two power forwards as we once thought, but he's only getting 20 minutes a game, which is not what he's supposed to be getting. I'm guessing his fouls, highest average. So Cooper, who's supposed to be, he's only a 23 defensive ability with that high press, struggling to stay on the court because he's committing too many fouls. So let's hope he either develops into next season, or he too could find himself a little bit more of a bench warmer. Lindquist and Cooper could be the two post players off the bench next season if we can find two better replacements. And then, of course, new guy that just gave us Howell, that just gave his verbal, could then be the small forward. And that would be your 1, 2, 3 sorted out. Your backups at 4, 5 for next year sorted out. And looking in that transfer portal to hopefully find 1 or 2 post players that could take over as starters. At least one, anyway. But Harris, Penders, other seniors, McPherson, another senior. So Alex Rice, the only one we'd be looking at bringing back come next season. He's just getting 6 minutes a game, but he's shooting well when he does play. Putting up okay numbers for 6 minutes. Penders does seem to be doing a little bit more than McPherson in terms of scoring and is a better defender. So I seem to have been right in my evaluation that I like Penders a bit more than McPherson. He seems to be earning that right. About the fouls, similar. Turnovers is higher, though. No. That was Harris. Penders, 0.1. 0.1. And fewer fouls than McPherson. So with that tough loss to Lehigh, obviously the perfect record thing is already out the window. But like I said, I really didn't expect to get it. I was hoping for 14-2. I kind of figured those 2 losses would come in the back half of the schedule, though. We've already picked up 1 in the first half. Now I'm starting to think maybe 13-3 is going to be the conference record this season. I still think we're a couple losses out of those few games later on, or somewhere else at the very least, to pick that up. So we've played 10 games so far in conference. We are 9-1. Citadel is 8-2, and they are our opponent for our next game. So that's going to be a very decisive, important moment. They're perfect at home so far this season, and we've got to travel on the road. South Carolina upstate 7-3. They just lost to us. That was that only challenging home game, and we've come through that one on the right side. So we remain perfect at home, and it looks like we have every opportunity to stay perfect at home for this season. It's just the road that's been a little bit tougher, but you can see we're still very good. We have the best road record of anybody in the conference, 7-4. We have the best net rating. You can see Citadel and South Carolina upstate still hovering inside the top 100, but not looking great. And again, so it looks like for yet another year, South Carolina upstate is going to continue to climb that ladder right alongside us, now being joined by Citadel this year. But same old story. American, North Carolina, Agriculture and Tech. There you go, A&T. They're both at 7-3. They're both looking solid. South Dakota is not too far behind at 6-4, but it does seem to be shaping up as a little bit of a runaway in who the top teams actually are. 3 anyway. Who that 4th one is going to be seems to be down to these 3. James Madison has a good net rating, but they're only 5-5. Waiting on that Citadel game. It is today. It should show up here in a moment, and we get the win on the road at Citadel. So that was a tough game. The number 2 team in conference. That's going to give us a 2-game cushion at the very least, assuming that they won their other game of the week. Puts us comfortably on top of the conference, but I still think there's a good chance of picking up at least one more loss along the way. But that was the first of those 3 big tests on the calendar. And then we turn around and lose the second one, James Madison. So James Madison do get the upset against us, but not so much of an upset. It was a road game against a good team. It was one of the top teams. It's just bound to happen. 10-2 now in conference. James Madison with that net ranking just outside. They were the team that I was just pointing at, even though they were only 5-5. They were pretty dang good, and they've been very good at home, 11-1. We so close to getting that victory, just like against Lehigh, which, Lehigh is only 7-6 at home. But that's the thing. On the road, you could lose to almost any team unless there is a massive gap between you. There's always a chance. Net ranking climbs after getting that Citadel win. That one helped, but we follow that up with the loss against James Madison. So definitely not perfect, definitely not secured yet, down to just the 1-game lead over Citadel and American at this point. South Carolina Upstate picked up another loss themselves. Not perfect at home anymore. Holy Cross has knocked us off. We lost 70-69, so we do not stay perfect at home. There's that 3rd loss. Early on, I was hoping for 14-2, but once we took that first loss, I figured it was going to be a 13-3 scenario, and now after taking a home loss, the next one could be a loss. It's Belmarine here on the road, and they have been a good home team. Even if we beat them by 49 when we were at home, Bellarmine has turned it into our third straight loss. So 3 straight losses now. Team is in a little bit of a free fall at the moment. The mighty do fall, the big teams as well. The James Madison loss, overtime. We lost by 1 field goal. Holy Cross at home, losing by a single point. Defense letting us down as well as the offense that day. And then the Bellarmine, like I said, totally different team on the road. But that was a 24-point blowout after we beat them by 49, after our backups played for many, many minutes, and we scored 99 points, the highest we've had so far in this series. That is ugly. And that is a team that's just straight struggling at that point. 2 games left in conference. Norfolk, North Carolina Central, both at home, should be bounce back wins, but we are down to 10-4 in conference, which no longer sees us on top of the rankings. In fact, it no longer guarantees us an automatic promotion at this point, as American, South Carolina, Upstate, and us all at 10-4. Only 3 are going to get that, where one's going to have to come through. And James Madison at 9-5, only a game back. So we have work to do here in these final 2 games of the season. We bounce back 74-51 with the victory, 1 to go, and it's a must win. Game day, North Carolina Central, the opponent. They're just 11-15 overall, and we are at home, and we do bounce back. We got the 2 wins that we needed, but is it enough, as we did have that tie? We'll see in the standings if that put us ahead. 12-4 is the final record in conference. I was expecting 13-3, so it was a little bit disappointing. Of course, it was that 3 losses in a row that literally did everything to us in that one. And we do bounce back. We are second in conference during the regular season. Citadel ends up on top of the standings. We were 12-1 at home, 8-6 on the road. 39 is the net. Citadel's was 60. James Madison ended up at 58 and jumping all the way up to 3rd place. So that was one of the teams we lost to there. South Carolina Upstate not getting the automatic promotion. South Dakota, American, and North Carolina, Agriculture and Tech, A&T, all at 10-6. Navy at 9-7. It ended up being a pretty competitive conference in the end. But the 3 automatics are already guaranteed. Who that 4th one is, we'll find out during the conference tournament. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.